The book's concept runs through that there's been a, 500, 600, depending on your sources, investment, in the kind of infrastructure of AI. But the way quite a few of this investment was expected, in the sense that enterprises will start using the resource or will start using the infrastructure, did not really pan out. Okay, and enterprises have their own issues. That is what the book deals with quite a bit. But then who ended up using it? Who ended up using it is like most of us, or quite a few people of us. Okay, and if you were to translate that into numbers, it's almost like 800 to 900 million if you were to take ChatGPT alone. And that's almost like 1 billion people. And that's Earth's population's 1/8. And then these individuals, quite a few of them who turned into solopreneurs or small-sized entrepreneurs, started making money, which was extremely fast, and perhaps the first time in human history you see that kind of scaling happening. Okay, and that's exactly why the name comes as a reverse gold rush. So in a classic gold rush, you actually have the people going in, digging mines. But here, the mines were prepared. Somebody else was expected to take advantage of it. But finally, who took advantage of it were common people. The classic mapping will be something like what optic fiber happened in 1995. When optic fiber was put up in 1995.
Is it there? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just complete this and hand it over to Sudhakar. Okay. When optic fiber was put up in 1995, you are overall seeing an investment of initial days around 200 billion by companies privately, but overall investment of 2 trillion across the world by different governments in some cases, like China or things like those, and private companies and things like those. But from 1995 till around 2000 to 2001, this cable was absolutely unused. Okay, they expected that video conferencing, a lot of enterprises will start using it and things like those, but no. For 5-6 years, no one literally used it. Okay, and the companies which had invested in this, today you wouldn't hear, WorldCom, okay, and companies like those, literally shut down. 1 or 2 CEOs went to jail for account fraud. Account fraud, not really to make money, honestly, but just to cover up the investments that they had made. Okay, which they had to show. Okay, but then what happened? You had a couple of kids who started throwing up videos, dancing on the internet. Okay, YouTube was still not bought over by Google. So that's when YouTube starts. And then Google buys YouTube, Netflix follows, Spotify follows. So that's the other reverse gold rush that we've seen just around 25 years ago. Okay? Let me just hand it over to Sudhakar.
Yeah, stay there. Thank you, Hari. Thank you very much for this overview. Good morning to all the friends who are joining here from higher education. How many of you are from higher education? -1. Okay. How many of you people have known me before this moment? Okay, good morning to all of you who do not know me also. Thank you for joining us this morning. We will do some kind of introduction to the book. This is a very important book that you have seen that we are launching. It is important because we have authored it. Not just that, but the current industry landscape, education landscape is shaped by the talk and the impact of AI. It is all pervasive and therefore it's extremely important from that point of view. And the theme of the entire conclave here is also around AI. And I have not seen any conclave of late without talking about AI. So I think we will keep talking about AI and also we have to keep doing something about AI. That's what we'll cover a little bit here. He is a man in a hurry who is standing there. His name is Hari, but why I say he is in a tearing hurry because we were planning to actually write some other book. We were planning to write some other book where people can use some methods and modes of using AI, which is supposed to be helping the humans thrive and excel in a transformative manner. So there is a call to action type of 1, 2, 3, 4, 30 modes we have made, and that is supposed to be released. Midway in that book, Hari says that, we'll write something else which will be a commentary on the landscape of AI, the economic journey or the economic behavior of how the AI is impacting. And we quickly segued into this one and we wrote this book. That's why he is a man in a cheering hurry, is what I fondly call him. You can call me by other names also. So as I said, we were writing the different book, which is called Co-Play. Actually, that book is ready now, more or less. And then we wanted to actually talk about how investments are going, how reverse gold rush is happening, and the rise of babysitters and the rise of solopreneurs, which Hari has explained briefly. We will also go into that again and again in due course of the presentation. Okay. So we write one chapter and fight for about 4 or 5 days, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can refute whatever I'm saying.
No. Actually, 4 days, sometimes 6 days. Yeah. No, life.
Okay. So it's not easy to deal with him. But the topic is such, there are perspectives and there are views and there are strong views, and therefore there is a discussion, debate, and sometimes, you don't have any resolution on the stalemate for about 4 or 5 days, something like that. So we write a chapter and we used to fight for a long time. Okay. So this is we'll give you chapter-wise summary so that you understand what this book contains. But before that, the overview is that lot of money is going into AI building. Corporates or enterprises are not able to show results of that 95% of the investment that is gone in. So is it going to be a big bubble like the way it has happened in the past in the telecom sector, in the infrastructure sector, in various other bubbles that we have seen? The pattern looks like similar, and therefore we think that this also could be a bubble. That is the first part of it. The second part of it is that if this money is going and if you want to make a political commentary saying it is a bubble or not, that is at one level. At another level, there are other phenomena that are actually happening, and we need to notice that. What is that? If you remember, Deloitte very recently had to pay a penalty of a huge sum. They were consulting government of Australia and they gave an output which is an output of generative AI without actually cross-checking, and then the government of Australia has objected to it and they filed a case on them, and as a penalty, I think huge money they had to pay. More than the money they had to pay, it was a loss of face. For a consulting organization, that was not okay. All because you did not cross-check what the machine had given you, in simple language. So, large number of enterprises are now keeping people to cross-check the output of generative AI before actually implementing it or before actually taking it forward. So what it meant is that in our language, we are calling them babysitters, people who are humans who are verifying the output of generative AI before implementing. We are calling them babysitters. These babysitters are not having any career path. Today you are an executive babysitter, tomorrow you are a director babysitter, day after you are a director general babysitter, but then there is no career path. So they are frustrated. They are armed with the knowledge of deploying AI, using the tools and techniques, they get frustrated, they leave the organization and they are setting up their own small shops. We are calling them solopreneurs, one man entrepreneurs or one woman entrepreneurs. And they are catering to some kind of niche segments which were hitherto not touched upon. So the rise of solopreneurs is the third important pattern that we are noticing. And this is a completely research-based book where there is huge data available, data starting from MIT Nanda reports to the latest Wharton reports on AI and AI fluency. So large part of our research has gone into understanding and making sense of the data and also trying to create a pattern which is going to be helpful for us in understanding how the landscape is moving. So that is the overview. Hari, first chapter.
Yeah, first chapter, nothing much to say. You would have heard Bezos, you would have heard Altman, you would have heard a lot of people who actually agree that, they sort of speak this, what should I call it, middle line talk. Okay, yeah, there is a kind of a bubble, but the technology is real, the technology is usable, the technology is an asset to humanity. Now, so what are they basically saying? They're basically saying that the technology is real, but the bubble could be financial.
Yeah.
So two different things, right? Okay. So next, why do they call it a bubble? Why do they agree in the first place? They wouldn't have agreed if enterprises were starting using it, because each enterprise, you are talking of a bill of nothing less than, $500 million, 200 million, 800 million, 1.5 billion. Those were not converting. And that's exactly what the MIT Nanda report had made it very, very clear. But what was converting? Individuals. But you, me, give $20. How much money? Okay. So that's why.
Okay. We'll
It's
move
exactly that.
faster.
Yeah, we'll move faster.
We'll give overviews of one lines, two lines.
Yeah.
Chapter 2. So in the early 1850s, the gold mine, the gold rush was explained by Hari very well. You go to a gold mine, you will get the gold. That's the yield you get. But today, you're not getting the gold, even if you go to the mines. Yeah.
Yeah, this is something explained. We can actually move on. So
Yes.
I think it's clear.
Yeah.
What the VCs bet on, just now I told you, what they had invested, the revenue that is generated. They were expecting that the, cloud playbook will work out. So the cloud playbook actually worked out brilliantly. The consumer was the hook initially. So you have a Dropbox, you have a Drive, Google Drive or whatever, you start using it. But once you start using it, it's the enterprise which is really paying the big money. And then, of course, it moves on. Okay, you have Azure, and then you have AWS, you have all the clouds, Oracle, all of them growing up. Okay. So what the VCs expected, and they weren't stupid at all, was that the AI playbook will, the cloud playbook will work out even in the AI space.
Yes.
But unfortunately, for a lot of reasons, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on.
Huge investments, unexpected revenue. 75% of revenue is coming in OpenAI from the consumers. So that's the numbers for you. Yeah. Why are we saying that enterprises can't build with AI?
Yeah. There's a certain interesting thing. McDonald's story is something, basically you'll find that most of these examples are American basically because obviously that's where the statistics research is available. Okay. But let's say, for example, it was not McDonald's and it was some other South Indian restaurant or even a North Indian restaurant. And you were out there, going to order, and it's a family of 4 and it's an AI who's taking an order. And then, you said, okay, humko 4 puri chahiye. And then the kid said, nahi, 2 milega kya? And then the other kid said, is there ice cream? Okay. And then, you hear one more voice out there. No, I want thumbs up with that. Okay. Now AI messes up.
Yeah.
Okay. When it takes that kind of inputs, which is human. And especially when the human again thinks back and says, no, I don't want that puri, I want dosa. It's totally brain fried. Exactly what happened with McDonald's. Okay, so you started having orders where on the top of ice cream, you had bacon. You had suddenly like something like 780 plates of fries being delivered and things like those. So obviously McDonald's had to pull back. Okay.
Well, several other bottlenecks in various other organizational examples are there, which we will see later. In chapter number 5,
Yeah. So the question is, if MIT Nanda report clearly states that 95% or let's say even 90% for that matter of fact, enterprise initiatives have failed. They've more or less conclusively failed. But, sorry, yeah, and only 5% have succeeded. But 90% of employees are using it and benefiting from it. Okay, and mind you, these 90% are not being paid by the company. They are not being sanctioned by the company. In fact, if the company knows, quite a few of them were reprimanded, okay, and were warned not to use. Obviously, data leaks and issues like those. Okay, so why was it working for the individual and not working for the enterprise? Now, this was actually the point at which we stopped the other book and then we said, okay, right now, perhaps this book needs to be there.
okay. So the $20 per month, which is appealing to an individual, is not working when it is at an enterprise level. That is the important catch here. Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the big theories which was making rounds and which is still making rounds for that matter of fact, and what the VCs expected, more than the VCs actually, I would say, what you would call economic, technical, political, social analysts, okay, who are bothered about the society, the structures and things like those. So if I were to take 3 layers, the bottom being like, what would we call? We will call people who work with their hands and legs, packaging, whatever. Okay, we've seen that automation was like eating them up in terms of jobs. Okay, and that automation was expected to happen. So what was AI supposed to do? The middle layer, the managerial layer. It was supposed to hollow out that managerial layer. So now you were supposed to, according to the investors, what was supposed to happen was, the middle layer is the one that takes the fat paychecks. Okay, the fattest go to the top, so we will leave them there. Okay, so it was expected that this will turn into something like an hourglass. Basically, because people did understand that at the bottom, the automation is going to take its time. It needs scale. But AI, the moment it comes to a certain extent, initially, this dreams of artificial general intelligence that they talk about was very, very much there. Of course, now people have settled down. They don't really expect AGI to be that fast. Most of even the optimists say 3 years. Okay, so that didn't happen.
Yeah.
The middle managers hollowing.
We are supposed to hurry up.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not adding any statements of 77% profitability for solopreneurs. It is there for the audience to see. Babysitter trap we have already explained. We don't have to explain much bigger. So the rise of babysitters is, the roles of babysitters are growing now, but then there is no clarity of career path on that. Therefore, they will be led to leave. And yes, I think we'll explain 1 or 2 lines here and then jump.
Yeah, I will go fast.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a chapter which basically covers that for a long time AI is not going to take over quite a few things.
2 minutes.
And why isn't it going to take over? What are the topics that humans really, do something which the AI can't do? But then I'm not saying that they can't do. It's like they have to work together, but the AI needs the human as much as the human needs the AI.
Right.
Yeah, let's move.
Okay.
This has been a chapter which tries to analyze what's the kind of closing window that we have by the time AI really takes up that kind of a space where, it needs less and less of humans. Okay, so best case scenario, forever window, somewhere around long game is what we see at least till 2035, 2040.
This could be the most probable window.
Yeah. So that's the kind of windows this chapter deals with.
Okay, next.
Okay, this is a quick theory. A quick theory, basically, the Gödel Ridley incompleteness is very, very fast. Gödel is a mathematician. Gödel basically says that systems essentially are incomplete, and then you can't have systems inside which will keep answering or having solutions. Okay, we are running out of time. Ridley is basically a geneticist, okay, who basically says humans are also incomplete. So you have AI, incomplete, human, incomplete. And both of them are now working with each other with an alien intelligence.
It sounds philosophical, but it is true.
Yeah, so how do you work with that? So one of the theorists, a Nobel Prize winning Daniel Kahneman, is one person, book recommended, thinking fast, thinking slow. Okay, and that's where the basics come. Move on.
It is very difficult to attempt to summarize the entire book.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
Okay, we have also suggested how to practice it, and this is the next book, but still there is an intro of the next book that's happening in this chapter and the 11th chapter as well. We'll just fly with it.
Yeah, nothing. We've tried to implement what that theory earlier.
See, these are the modes I was trying to explain. There is a special technique of a mode called sparring, exploring, teaching, mirroring, like that. There are 26 more modes that we have proposed, and that is a direct playbook for all the educators, for all the people working in various other industries also, to harness AI in a more meaningful way, in a result-oriented manner, so that the human AI excellence comes onto the surface. And that's the purpose of what we have been trying to uphold. See, adoption is one stage, fluency is another stage, because everyone talks about AI and goes home. Nobody does anything about it, or you have your own fears to take home. Ultimately, the how, the do-how is extremely important. The do-how is covered in this book, which gives you competitive advantage and the edge for you to become productive and competitive. Okay, this is where you can buy the book in Poti as well as Amazon. And there is no prizes for guessing. That is Sudhari, which is basically a website for us to share our views, no organization. These are the two books that we have published so far, Reverse Gold Rush and Business Fables. Business Fables is basically Divisima Business Fables for children. These are animal stories that tell you the lessons for business foundation. Sir was talking about foundational courses. This is also foundational, but it has to start in the school. That's our hypothesis. And the other books that I published are, our biographies on our founder. The left one is published by ICFAI University Press. The right one, that is The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, will be happening in next 1 week. It is published by Rupa. And this is Wise Views, Lessons from Game Changers. Some of you must be knowing this. This is about 3.5, 4 years old. And this is about 2 days old, which we published day before yesterday. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity.